story came out on ESPN, 10 trades we'd like to see, 10 deals. It comes from Bill Barnwell, and indeed, one of them involves the Lions. And the trade is the Lions trade for wide receiver Robert Woods. Was with the Texans. And he writes, the Texans are absolutely stacked at wide receiver. New addition Stephon Diggs is going to join incumbents Nico Collins and Tank Dell in the starting lineup, giving C.J. Stroud a three-man core that compete with any trio in football. Behind them, Houston has John Mechie, a player it traded up to acquire in the second round of the draft in 2022. Missed his rookie season, leukemia diagnosis, wasn't able to carve out a regular role last season, but could be close to 100%. Nick Casario also brought in Noah Brown, who had a pair of games with 150-plus yards last season and just traded with the Rams to get Ben Skowronek. The odd man out is going to be Woods, who doesn't play much on special teams and has a $6.3 million base salary. Only 1.3 of that figure is guaranteed, but the Texans likely will release Woods if he doesn't take a pay cut for the remaining amount or retire. The 32-year-old is still an effective blocker and a good teammate, but he hasn't been productive after tearing his ACL with the Rams in the middle of 2021. He was averaging blah, blah, blah. I think his cap number would be $3 million in Detroit, which isn't much. And I can't imagine. This feels like one of those players that the Lions would trade Robert Woods. They would trade a 6th-round pick to Houston for Robert Woods and a 7th-round pick.
Right.
Like, this is one of those, hey, if we convert our 7th into your 6th, we'll give you Robert Woods. Because if they're going to release him. So the question is, with Josh Reynolds gone, do they go get a veteran like Robert Woods? What do you make of this?
I don't make much of this. He's 32 years old. He's 4 years past his last productive season where he had 936 yards in 2020. You mentioned he hurt his ACL in the middle of 2021. And he's just been kind of a supporting cast member since then, which is what you would want for the Lions, I guess. But is he an upgrade over what they have? I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones is still young. I want to see that. Khalif Raymond is still young, and I want him to get the opportunities. And I don't know what they have with Antoine Green. I guess it's not a big enough wow move for me to say you got to get this guy. And I'm not trading for him. If he's going to be released, wait for him to get released, and then you can make your offer. And if that's what you want, I imagine that because the Lions have done what they've done and what they've built is a culture where players want to come here and play for this coach. So if he hits, are we worried that he'd hit free agency and somebody else would sign him? I'm not worried about that, but I don't want to sign him because there are too many things against it. The north of 32? Absolutely no.
So here's why I'm okay with it, Gator, is I look at this and go, okay, let's start with where he had some of his more productive seasons. It was in Los Angeles with the Rams. Yep. And who was his quarterback?
Well, Jared Goff.
Yep. Last year, Josh Reynolds for the Lions had 40 catches on 64 targets. Last year, Robert Woods on the Texans had 40 catches on 75 targets. Mm-hmm. The 32-year-old thing is an issue, but for a price tag that I would imagine means next to nothing, there's some variables here that I think this is one of those deals where you could say to Jared Goff, hey, how much did you like throwing to this guy? Could he play the Josh Reynolds role for this one season if we can get him for next to nothing? On top of that, if you get him for next to nothing and it doesn't work out, no big deal. I think this might be one of those subtle, sneaky, smart moves if Jared Goff says, oh, hell yeah.
Well, the one thing that resonates to me that you said was that reminding me that he played with Jared Goff with the Rams and had 2 very productive years where he caught passes for over 1,000 yards in back-to-back years. That resonates with me. However, the fact that he is 32, he's 4 years removed from that, I would be wondering, is this more of a Marv Jones type signing or is this more of a Josh Reynolds revitalizing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, are you trading for him or are you going to let him wait for him to be released?
Well, you can let him, if he's going to get released, you can let him get released. Yeah. But as we've said, the low price of a conversion of a draft pick is something that I would consider. But 248-539-9797. Interesting thing to think about. Could that be their next Josh Reynolds type move?